Yeah, good day viewers. How are you? How have you been? Now, sorry, in this video I might not be showing myself, but meanwhile, I just want to give you a quick revision, a quick summary to NECO practical question, biology precisely. So we have about 14 to 15 specimens, of which we're going to see many of them in this video. The first specimen is specimen A, which is the land snail. All right, so as you can see in the diagram, that is the picture of the land snail. So now let's check briefly about its classification. Now the kingdom is Animalia, is an animal, and the phylum is Mollusca. The class is Gastropoda. Then is the habitat. The land snail, as the name implies, land snail it has a terrestrial habitat, but basically live in a shady and wetlands. So color of shell. The color of shell depends on the kind of specimen you are given in school. So you write a color that ranges from brown to depending. There are different species of the land snail anyway. So what's the nature of the shell? For the shell, it is hard and contain calcium carbonate. Okay, so how does it feed? It feeds on rotting plant materials and dead animal. So is a scavenger. The land snail is a scavenger. Then what is its adaptation? How does it adapt to its surrounding? So it has the ability to estivate. Okay, it has the ability to estivate. That is, it can actually remain inactive for a period of time. And what kind of reproduction is present in it? So it is actually an hermaphrodite, which means it has the male and the female organs in it. So, and at the same time, it shows oviparity, which means that it lays eggs in batches. Okay, it shows oviparity, capable of laying egg in batches. So what is the economic importance, or what are the economic importance of the land snail? Now, number one is that actually it is edible. Okay, it is eatable. So, and it contain protein. It provides the body with protein. Then another economic importance is that it damage crops. That's a disadvantage one there. I damage crops by hitting leaves. Okay, so what other features should we know about the land snail for the exam? So we should know that their body is covered by mantle. So mantle is the substance that actually secretes the shell. Okay, the mantle actually secretes the shell. And also you should know that there is also a presence of muscular feet, like you can see there in the diagram. So the muscular feet is used for crawling and burrowing. And similarly, it also carry out respiration. That is, gaseous exchange is done with the use of the lung. So that is that you need to know about specimen A, which is the land snail. Don't forget, we said it belongs to the kingdom Alemania. Is a mollusk. Gastropoda is its class, and the kind of habitat it exhibits is terrestrial. Then we ask you to know the color of the snail provided by your examiner in school, so we'll determine what you're going to write there. So just browse through and see what we got about the land snail. So with these points, I believe you should be able to tackle any question asked on land snail. So we quickly move to the second specimen, which is specimen B, and that is a toad. So the toad is an animal, so belongs to the kingdom Animalia, and at the same time is a vertebrate that belongs to the class Amphibian. So the habitat is terrestrial, meanwhile a wet area. That is where you find it. At times it might go to water, but like frog that likes to go to water very well. So toad is always on wet area. So you see them during the raining season and the like. So adaptational mode of tail is nocturnal, meaning that it is very active at night. So at times at night you see toad in your various homes and always there. Okay, so what are the external features? So possession of head and trunk. So it has the head part, like you can see in the diagram. It has the head part with no neck nor tail. It doesn't have tail. So if there is presence of tail in it, then it will not be able to hop, as in move from one place to another, because it moves by hopping. So possession of fore and hind limb for hopping. So it has the fore and hind limbs that it uses for for hopping. The forelimb is actually the part of the limb that is concerned with being the shock absorber. That doesn't make it to feel very repulsive while hopping. So that acts as a shock absorber. So it has a naked and moist skin. It has naked and moist skin. So the skin is naked and also very moistened. So it has external and internal ear, okay, the tympanic membrane and the like. So it has webbed feet for swimming, and also the body is stout. When the body is stout, we say it is small. So the head is oval shape. So note the shape of the head, and at the same time you should also note that it has a wide mouth. So also it has the upper and the lower eyelid. Okay, it has the lower and the upper eyelid. Note that in its physical appearance, the external view, because we might be asked to describe its views. And also you should also note that it can camouflage. It is capable of changing color from grayish brown to dark brown. So it is capable of showing camouflage. So it can camouflage. So toad moves by hopping, okay, hopping. Then when at rest, it forms a Z shape. When it is at rest, it forms a Z shape. So how does it feed? So it feeds mainly on insects and worms. Using its tongue, it has to produce its tongue, bring out its tongue, and then use it to feed on insects and then worms. So the kind of reproduction in toad is sexual reproduction. We have the male and the female toad. The male toad is big. So the next specimen is specimen C, which is a spider. You can see that in the diagram there. So it belongs to the animal kingdom, Animalia, and is an arthropod, and the class Arachnida. So what are its external features? The body is divided into two parts, which are the presence of the cephalothorax and also the abdomen, meaning the body is divided into cephalothorax and then abdomen. Okay, so it also has an antenna, It has no antenna. It has no antenna. The spider has no antenna. But we have something very small that wants to resemble an antenna. But antenna is absent. Then at the same time, you should know that the legs are attached to its cephalothorax and the presence of spinnerets on the abdomen, okay, that is used for making, web, like a kind of net. So the skeleton is exoskeleton. It exhibits exoskeleton. Then we have to note that the spinnerets are used for making webs, and its habitat is at terrestrial or arboreal. The top habitat on top part of the next one, the next specimen there, specimen D, which is crayfish. So it is quite essential for you to know the difference between specimen C and specimen D. You know the observable difference between specimen C and D, and also note the difference between specimen A and B. So know this difference, know the similarities, okay, both between A and B, then C and D. Note the difference. So crayfish belongs to the animal kingdom, is an arthropod, is a crustacean, and the habitat is aquatic, freshwater. You see them in rivers, and skeleton is exoskeleton. Then what are other features you need to know about crayfish? It has powerful claws for defense and capture, possession of 2 antennae for sensitivity. Then their head bear antenna. Okay, note that they have antenna, unlike in specimen C that has no antenna. So the head and thorax are fused and are covered by a carapace. Okay, so the presence of compound eyes in them. Then legs are located in the thorax region. Okay, the head is located in the thorax region. Know where the location of leg is in the other species. Then also you should know as this it has swimmeret for swimming, and respiration, it uses the lungs. Okay, so what is the economic importance of specimen D, which is the crayfish? So it is a good source of protein, edible, and good source of protein. So with time, we quickly move to the next specimen, which is specimen E. Specimen E is a Spirogyra, and Spirogyra filament, precisely, like as you can see. Okay, that is a picture of the Spirogyra filament viewed in the microscopes and the one on paper. So the kingdom it plants is a talophyte. That's their division. It can reproduce asexually rather, by fragmentation, vegetative propagation, and sexually by conjugation. So it can reproduce both sexually and asexually. Asexually by vegetation, fragmentation, or then sexually by conjugation. So it has aquatic habitat. It is found floating on water surfaces. So other features you need to know about Spirogyra is that the cell wall is covered by the mucilage, okay, and it grows in length. It can only grow in length. It doesn't fat, but rather just continue growing in length, as you can see here in the diagram. So it is a slim, creature, And under the microscope, it is seen to contain, chloroplast, okay, that which is needed for photosynthesis. The chloroplast, is green. Then on the chloroplast, there are patches, which is called paranoids, okay? So which is called paranoids. Now, the paranoid could be used in making carbohydrates and the likes. So the nucleus is always at the center in that species. So that is briefly about Spirogyra filament specimen E. So we move to specimen F. And specimen F, we have rhizopus, which is also known as mocha. Okay, you can see it in diagram. Having the sporangium, the horizontal hyphae and the likes. So what kingdom does it belong? As another kingdom, fungi, and the phylum is Zycomycota. It feeds saprophytically. Okay, so other feature you need to know about mocha is that it is found growing on moistened gari, eba, precisely in as it is being called in some part of Africa, eba, or you can also grow on moistened birch. So it appears as oven of mass silk white thread. So when you see a decayed eba, okay, you see on it there is that is whitish. So those whitish woven of mass silk, that is the the rhizopus. Then the presence of sporangia, okay, is also there for reproduction. It uses sporangia for reproduction. So quick one is specimen G, which is the groundnut seeding, 1 week old. So you need to note that, look at the diagram, that is a week old groundnut seeding. Okay, so its kingdom is plant, so it's a plant and has a division which is tracheophyta. Tracheophyta meaning they have vascular bundles of vascular tissue, the phlegm and xylem, for conducting water and mineral salts. Then their subdivision is spermatophyta, which means they bear seed. Okay, so and the class is angiospermae, meaning they are flowering plants. Then the type of germination in them is the epigynous germination. So where the shoots will actually be up. Okay, the type of embryo, they are dicotyledon, and the food class is a legume, meaning plant protein. That's it. So you need to know, sorry, let me quickly come back here. You need to know the similarities and also difference between specimen E and specimen F. Please note the difference between specimens E and specimen F, and then also their similarities. So using the information you have there, then specimen H and specimen G, you need to know their difference and also their similarities. So the next one is the maize seedling, that's specimen H. Okay, so is a plant like specimen G. It belongs to tracheophyte like specimen G. It is a spermatophyta like specimen G. Okay, meaning it's a vascular plant. It has the ability to produce its own seed. It's an angiosperm. It has flower. But those are similar things between G and H. But this one is an hypogynous. Okay, So it has epicotyle. If it is hypogee, it has epicotyle. So now meaning that the shoot is inside. Okay, peer the seed upward. Now the embryo type, so is a monocot. Is a monocot, unlike the other one. Specimen G, which is a dicot. Then the food class is cereal, unlike specimen G, which is a legume. So we have been told to note the similarities and difference between G and H. Then quickly, the next specimen is specimen I. Okay, specimen I, that's a microscope, like you can see there. Okay, so it's a device used for studying small organisms and cells. That's what a microscope is, a device used to study small organisms and cells. So what are the features of a microscope? It has two lenses. Okay, you need to know that it has two lenses, the eyepiece lens and the objective lens. Okay, so both lenses are used for magnification, to magnify an object. Then the magnifying power of a microscope is the product of the eyepiece lens and the objective lens. So that is very essential if you are to calculate the magnifying power. All right, so you have to multiply the eyepiece lens by the objective lens, the magnification, to get the magnifying power. Then what is resolution in microscopy? So resolution is actually the ability of a microscope to separate close objects easily. Okay, the ability of a microscope to separate objects clearly and easily, that is magnification. Then the unit of measurement using a microscope is micrometer or millimeter. So what are the parts of a microscope? You need to know the part of a microscope. Number one is the stage. Number two is the nose piece. Number three is the eyepiece. We have four objective lens, iris. The other parts include the quartz adjustment knob. There is also the fine adjustment knob and also the base. So those things you need to know. You have the functions, a brief function of each and every one of them there. Then we have the next slide, the next specimen, which is specimen J, which is a slide. So that is not how you view an object in the microscope, is how using a slide. And that is a slide. Here is a slide. So what is it? Is a plane, as it appears there, plain rectangular shaped glass where objects to be viewed are placed. The objects to be viewed are placed. Okay, so specimen, how do we prepare smell? So specimens are prepared as thin slice, soft, solid tissue. Okay, if it is specimen that thin slice, so soft solid tissues are squashed, while liquid tissue like blood are smeared. So the smear are often stained with appropriate dye to make them more glaring than mount them to the microscope for viewing. Okay, so now the